The artificial lights of Viridian bathed the Grand Hall in a surreal purple glow. Colonel Anya Reyes adjusted her Federation uniform's collar, feeling the weight of Earth's expectations on her shoulders. 10 years of fragile peace between star systems was about to be officially celebrated, and humanity, the newest addition to the Galactic Council, had been granted a seat at the table of cosmic powers. "You look like you're heading to an execution, not a celebration," remarked Technical Officer Marcus Lee, falling into step beside her. His quick fingers were still tapping away at a portable decoder, the ancient script of the Council's formal charter, scrolling across its screen. "Diplomatic instincts," Anya replied, her dark eyes scanning the towering, multi-species delegates gathering ahead. "Something feels off. The Council invited us too eagerly, accepted our petition too quickly." Marcus nodded, distracted. "Speaking of quick acceptances, I've been analyzing the ratification documents again. There's something strange about the auxiliary clauses." "Strange how?" Anya lowered her voice as they approached the massive crystalline doors of the council chamber. "Translation discrepancies. Our version mentions protective oversight. The original text uses a term closer to biological submission." A chill ran down Anya's spine. But before she could respond, the doors swung open, revealing the domed grandeur of the council chamber. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy sat in tiered platforms, all focused on the central podium where Chairman Valrian of the Nexari stood, his 4 arms raised in greeting. "Welcome, delegates of Earth." His voice boomed through the chamber's perfect acoustics. "Today, we celebrate a decade of interstellar harmony and formally welcome humanity into our peaceful coalition." Anya forced a diplomatic smile, but her mind raced. Biological submission? The USS Vanguard, Earth's research vessel, and their home for the past 3 years, orbited above with the rest of Earth's delegation aboard, completely unaware of what Marcus had just discovered. The ceremony proceeded with elaborate speeches, ornate rituals from a dozen species, and flowery language about unity and progress. All the while, Marcus kept his head down, frantically analyzing the council's charter on his device. When a break in proceedings allowed them a moment of privacy in an antechamber, Marcus's face had gone pale. "Anya, this isn't a peace treaty," he whispered urgently. "The clause they slipped in, it's not about protection at all. They're demanding full biological data on Earth's entire population, neural mapping, genetic sequences, everything." "For what purpose?" Anya asked, though the creeping dread suggested she already knew. "Control." Marcus pointed to the glowing council seal emblazoned on every document. "This isn't just decorative. It's a neural interface command. The same technology they've used on 3 other species who've, mysteriously, become the Council's most devoted servants." Anya's diplomatic mask cracked. "We need to warn Earth immediately." But when she activated her comm unit, there was only static. Marcus checked his own device and found the same. All communications to the Vanguard had been blocked. "We're being isolated," Anya realized. "They know we've discovered something." The doors to the antechamber slid open, revealing 2 council security officers, tall, expressionless Krell with exoskeletal armor. "Colonel Reyes, Technical Officer Lee," one stated flatly. "Your presence is requested by Chairman Valrian. Immediately." Anya straightened her spine, years of military discipline kicking in. "Of course, lead the way." As they were escorted through the winding corridors of the council tower, Marcus whispered, "There's a resistance faction. I've heard rumors, some Therial general and a linguist professor. If we can find them—" "Silence," ordered the Krell guard, its compound eyes flashing. "No discussion is permitted during escort." They were led not to the main chamber, but to a smaller, private office where Chairman Valrian waited, his 4 arms clasped behind his back as he gazed out at the swirling plasma storms that perpetually raged in Viridian's upper atmosphere. Colonel Reyes, Valrian said without turning. I understand you've been accessing restricted sections of our charter. We were reviewing the terms of Earth's admission, Anya replied carefully. It's standard diplomatic procedure. Is it also standard procedure to decode our security protocols? Now, Valrian turned, his faceted eyes reflecting the plasma storm's light. Technical Officer Lee has been quite busy attempting to breach Council security measures. Marcus stepped forward. I was translating the original text. The translation provided to Earth contains significant discrepancies. Discrepancies? Valrian's tone was mild, but the atmosphere in the room grew heavy. Or clarifications? The nuance of cosmic diplomacy often requires interpretation. Your interpretation demands Earth surrender its biological autonomy, Anya stated flatly. That wasn't disclosed to our government. Valrian's mouth parts clicked in what might have been amusement. Colonel, the Council has maintained peace for 1,000 years by ensuring member species are harmonized. Earth's tendency toward conflict makes this provision particularly necessary. You mean mind control, Marcus said. The seal. It's a neural interface. Valrian sighed. A whistling sound through his breathing tubes. Such crude terminology. We prefer guided consciousness. Your species will remain free to develop, explore, create, simply without the inconvenience of violence, rebellion, or dissent. A holographic display activated on the wall, showing the USS Vanguard in orbit. Surrounding it, previously cloaked Council warships had appeared, weapon systems locked on the Earth vessel. Your delegation will be the first to receive our guidance, Valrian continued. Then they will return to Earth as advocates for full integration. It's quite painless, I assure you. Anya's hand moved instinctively to her sidearm, but the Krell guards stepped forward, their own weapons already drawn. That would be unwise. Colonel, Valrian said, please, don't force us to demonstrate the alternative to peaceful submission. On the display, the Council ships moved closer to the Vanguard. You won't get away with this, Anya said, mind racing for options. Earth will resist. Earth will never know what happened, Valrian replied. Your guided delegates will return with joyful news of acceptance. The process will be gradual, peaceful. In 1 generation, Earth will be fully harmonized, and you'll wonder why you ever resisted. As Valrian turned to give orders to the guards, Marcus's fingers moved subtly across his decoder. A small light blinked on its surface, a signal sent. To whom? Anya couldn't guess, but she recognized the desperation of a last resort. Take them to adjustment, Valrian ordered. Begin with Technical Officer Lee. His technical knowledge will be valuable once properly aligned. The guards moved forward, but before they could seize Marcus, the tower shook with a massive explosion. Alarms blared throughout the complex. What was that? Valrian demanded, rushing to the display. The image showed chaos, several Council warships now engulfed in flame, and a new fleet emerging from Viridian's plasma clouds. Therial ships, one guard reported. General Zira's renegade fleet. Anya and Marcus exchanged glances. The resistance faction he'd mentioned. They'd arrived with perfect timing. In the confusion, Anya moved. Years of combat training took over as she disarmed the nearest guard, while Marcus ducked beneath the second guard's grasp. Within seconds, they'd secured the room. Valrian backed against the wall, Anya's appropriated weapon aimed at his thorax. Call off the attack on our ship, she demanded. You can't possibly think you'll escape, Valrian said. But his confidence had cracked. The Council controls this entire sector. Not anymore, came a new voice from the doorway. A tall, silver-skinned Therial female stood there, her ceremonial armor bearing the marks of a general. Behind her, more Therial soldiers secured the corridor. General Zira, I presume, Anya said, not lowering her weapon. The Therial nodded. Your officer's signal reached us just in time. The Council's protection has gone unchallenged too long, Valrian hissed. Traitor! The Therial accepted Council guidance centuries ago. Some of us remained beyond your reach, Zira replied. Hidden, waiting for the right moment. Earth's resistance gives us that opportunity. Another explosion rocked the tower, on the display. The space battle intensified, with more ships joining both sides. We need to reach the Vanguard, Anya said, and warn Earth. Communications are still blocked, Marcus said, working at a Council terminal. And the automatic defense systems are targeting any ship that tries to break orbit. I know someone who can help, Zira said. Professor Zelsa has been studying Council technology for decades. If anyone can break their control codes, it's him. Valrian laughed, a harsh, grating sound. You're too late. The integration protocol has already begun. Look. The display shifted to show the main Council chamber, where hundreds of delegates, including several humans from Earth's secondary delegation, were being herded into formation. Above them, the Council seal glowed with increasing intensity. When that seal reaches full power, everyone in that room will become part of the Council's collective consciousness, Valrian said, including your fellow humans. They'll return to your ship and deliver our message personally. Marcus studied the terminal. The system's running on ancient code. I recognize some patterns from archaeological digs on Proxima B. If I can access the main server. You'll never reach it, Valrian said. The core is protected by automated defenses keyed to Council genetic signatures. Then we'll need the professor even more, Zira said. Secure him, she ordered her soldiers, indicating Valrian. And prepare for extraction. We're taking the humans to Zelsa. As they moved through the corridors of the Council Tower, chaos reigned. The battle in orbit had clearly caught the Council unprepared, and resistance factions from multiple species were emerging from hiding, challenging Council security forces throughout the complex. How long have you been planning this? Anya asked Zira, as they hurried down a maintenance shaft. Generations, the Therial general replied. The Council's harmony comes at the cost of free will. Some of us chose exile rather than submission. We've been gathering strength, waiting for the right catalyst. And we're it? Marcus asked. Earth has a reputation, Zira said with what might have been a smile. Your species' stubborn independence is well known. When we learned the Council had targeted you for integration, we knew it was time to act. They emerged into a lower-level hangar, where a sleek Therial transport waited. As they boarded, Anya caught a glimpse of Viridian's skyline through the hangar doors, Council towers burning, ships engaged in combat above, the perfect order of the supposed peaceful coalition shattering before her eyes. The transport lifted off, weaving through the aerial combat with Zira herself at the controls. Professor Zelsa maintains a hidden laboratory in Viridian's second moon, she explained. We'll be safe there for now. Our ship, Anya insisted. The Vanguard, we need to warn them. We're trying, Zira said. But all standard communications are blocked by Council countermeasures. That's why we need Zelsa. He's the foremost expert on Council linguistics and code structures. As they approached the cratered surface of Viridian's smaller moon, a hidden hangar door slid open in what had appeared to be solid rock. The transport descended into a vast underground complex humming with activity. Beings of various species working at terminals, monitoring the battle, preparing weapons. You've been busy, Marcus observed. The resistance has existed as long as the Council's control, Zira replied. We just haven't had the strength to move openly until now. Professor Zelsa met them at the landing pad, a Moravian with translucent skin that revealed the complex neural pathways of his brain. He moved with the deliberate slowness of his species, but his eyes burned with intense focus. The humans from Earth, he said, his voice melodic despite the grave situation. I've been studying your language. Fascinating structure. Professor, Zira cut in, they've discovered the integration clause. The Council is moving forward with their plan. Zelsa's transparent features darkened with concern. Then we have little time. Come, to my laboratory. As they followed him through the facility, Marcus explained what he'd discovered about the Council's charter and the neural interface embedded in their seal. Yes, Zelsa nodded. The Council's power has always been linguistic at its core. Words given form, commands embedded in symbols. Their entire system operates on an ancient programming language disguised as ceremonial script. His laboratory was a wonder of contradictions. Cutting-edge technology alongside ancient artifacts. Holographic displays showing complex equations next to handwritten notes in dozens of languages. The Council's defense grid, their neural interfaces, even their ship commands, all run on this primordial code. Zelsa explained, activating a display that showed symbols similar to those Marcus had been decoding. It predates the Council itself. They discovered it in the ruins of a civilization long extinct and adapted it for their purposes. Can you use it to shut down their defenses? Anya asked. Our people are in danger. Not shut down. No, Zelsa said, his neural pathways pulsing with activity visible through his skin. The system is too distributed, too redundant, but perhaps redirect. He turned to Marcus. You've been studying their charter. Did you notice anything about command structures in the code? Marcus nodded. They're remarkably simple, almost binary in nature, despite the complex appearance. Exactly, Zelsa exclaimed. The power is in simplicity. The most basic commands have system-wide priority. He pulled up displays showing the battle around Viridian. Council ships had surrounded the USS Vanguard, and more were moving to blockade the moon where they had taken refuge. We don't have much time, Zira warned. If they activate a full neural sweep, everyone on your ship will be compromised. Anya clenched her fists. There must be something we can do. Marcus had been quiet, studying the ancient code scrolling across Zelsa's displays. What about this sequence? He asked, pointing to a recurring pattern. It appears in every command structure, but it's isolated from the execution protocols. Zelsa moved closer, his transparent fingers tracing the symbols. Yes, that's the priority override, a master command that the system processes before all others. Could we use it to disable the neural interface? Anya asked. Better, Zelsa said, his neural pathways lighting up with excitement. We could use it to reverse the entire system against the Council itself. How? Zira demanded. The system doesn't distinguish between targets, Zelsa explained. It simply executes commands against whatever identifiers are provided. If we could inject a new command with the Council itself as the target, they'd be affected by their own control system. Marcus finished, understanding dawning. But we'd need access to their central broadcast node, Zelsa said. It's in the Council chamber, where the integration is already beginning. Anya studied the tactical displays. The Vanguard has a specialized communications array. It was designed to penetrate ionic interference. If we could reach the ship... Impossible, Zira said. The Council blockade is too tight. Then we broadcast from here, Marcus suggested. Professor, could your equipment be modified to send a signal directly to the Council chamber? Zelsa considered. Perhaps, with your ship's communication protocols to bypass their security. But what command would we send? It would need to be something simple, powerful, universally understood. Anya stared at the battle raging on the displays. Earth ships were fighting back against the Council forces now, having realized the trap, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. The elegant formations of Council warships moved with mechanical precision, their automated defense systems making them nearly impervious to conventional attacks. Then it hit her. Run, she said quietly. What? Zira asked. The command, just one word. Run. Anya turned to face them. In our most basic military protocols, it's an abort command. It cancels all current operations and initiates emergency evacuation procedures. Marcus's eyes widened. And if their defense systems interpret it as a priority command, they'll turn against their own installations, Zelsa finished, brilliant in its simplicity. Can you do it? Anya asked. I'll need access to your ship's communication protocols, Zelsa said, and a direct link to someone aboard who can authorize the transmission. Anya activated her emergency beacon, a last resort device implanted in all Federation officers. If anyone on the Vanguard is still free of Council influence, they'll detect this. For agonizing minutes, there was no response. On the displays, they watched Council forces tighten their grip on the Vanguard, preparing boarding parties. In the Council chamber, the integration ceremony continued, the glowing seal pulsing with increasing power. Then, a signal breakthrough. Colonel Reyes, came a voice through static. This is Lieutenant Commander Patel. We've detected your emergency signal. What's your situation? Patel, listen carefully, Anya said urgently. The Council is attempting a hostile takeover of Earth forces. I need you to link our communications array to the transmission coordinates I'm sending. Authorization code, Reyes Alpha 790. Understood, Colonel. But we're under heavy fire. Council ships are attempting to board. Hold them off as long as you can. This transmission could end the conflict. As Patel acknowledged, and the link was established. Marcus and Zelsa worked frantically to encode the simple command into the ancient language of the Council systems. It needs to be in their base code structure, Zelsa explained, but translated in a way that gives it absolute priority. Like this, Marcus suggested, adjusting the sequence. Zelsa's neural pathways flared with excitement. Yes, perfect. It will cascade through their entire network. Transmission ready, Zira reported from another console. But the Council is jamming standard frequencies. Use the Vanguard's array, Anya ordered. Lieutenant Commander, divert all power to communications and transmit on my mark. Ready, Colonel, Patel responded. But hurry, they've breached the outer hull. Anya looked at the displays one last time. The Council chamber where the integration ceremony approached its climax. The space battle where Earth ships fought desperately against overwhelming odds. The Council warships with their weapons locked on the Vanguard. Transmit, she commanded. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, across every display, a single word appeared, translated into the ancient script of the Council. Run. In the Council chamber, the glowing seal flickered, then flared blindingly bright. The assembled delegates scattered in confusion as the neural interface command redirected itself against its creators. Council members clutched their heads, their neural implants suddenly receiving conflicting orders. In orbit, the automated defense systems of the Council warships abruptly altered their targeting parameters. Weapons that had been aimed at Earth vessels swiveled to target Council installations instead. Defensive shields powered down, leaving the ships vulnerable. It's working, Marcus exclaimed. Throughout the Viridian system, chaos erupted as the Council's carefully orchestrated systems turned against themselves. The single command, run, propagated through their network with the highest priority, triggering emergency protocols, shutdown sequences, and evacuation orders simultaneously. We need to move now, Anya said. While they're in disarray, Zira, can your forces create a corridor to the Vanguard? The Therial General was already issuing orders. My ships are engaging. We'll get you to your vessel. As they raced back to the transport, the displays showed the full scale of what they'd unleashed. Council ships colliding with each other as their navigation systems went haywire. Defense platforms firing on their own installations. The neural interfaces that had maintained Council control for centuries, suddenly broadcasting conflicting commands that left their hosts paralyzed with indecision. The journey to the Vanguard was a gauntlet of explosions, debris, and drifting ships. Zira piloted the transport with remarkable skill, weaving through the chaos while Therial fighters cleared a path ahead. When they finally reached the Earth vessel, boarding through an emergency airlock, They found a ship in the midst of its own battle. Council forces had managed to board before the command disrupted their systems, and fighting raged through the corridors. Anya led Marcus and Zelsa toward the bridge, joining Earth security forces in repelling the invaders. "Colonel on deck," Lieutenant Commander Patel announced as they finally reached the bridge. Despite a bleeding wound on his forehead, he stood firm at his post. "Status report," Anya demanded, surveying the damage. "Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Engineering reports primary power at 60%. Weapons operational. Communications array damaged, but functional." Patel managed a grim smile. "Whatever you transmitted, it worked." The Council ships started firing on each other. "Not just the ships," Marcus said, checking a console. "The entire Council system is turning against itself. Their neural network is collapsing." On the main view screen, they watched as Council warships, their automated systems corrupted by the simple command, either retreated in disarray or opened fire on Council installations. The Viridian orbital platforms, pride of Council defensive technology, were tearing themselves apart, their weapon systems executing the run command by targeting their own power cores. "We need to get word to Earth," Anya said, "and to every other species the Council has subjugated. They need to know what's happening, and what was planned for them." "The long-range communications array is still operational," Patel reported. "But we'll need to clear Viridian's orbit to establish a clean signal." "I can help with that," Zira said. "My forces are regrouping. We'll escort you clear." As Earth security teams secured the last of the Council boarding parties, the Vanguard's engines rumbled back to life. On the bridge, Anya watched as Therial ships formed up alongside, creating a protective screen as they moved away from Viridian. "Colonel," a communications officer called, "we're receiving transmissions from all over the sector. Every species with access to Council communication channels is reporting the same phenomenon. Council control systems malfunctioning, neural interfaces disrupting. Send this message on all frequencies," Anya ordered. "To all species, all worlds. The Galactic Council has attempted to subjugate Earth through neural control, as they have done to others before us. We have reversed their control systems against them. The word run will disrupt any Council technology. Spread this command. The time for resistance is now." As the message went out, replies began flooding in, confirmation from a dozen worlds, then 100, then thousands. Species that had lived under Council guidance for generations suddenly found their neural interfaces failing, the Council's hold on their minds weakening. "It's a revolution," Marcus said in awe, watching the responses accumulate on the display. "System-wide." Professor Zelsa's transparent features pulsed with emotion. "The Council has maintained control for 1,000 years by isolating resistance. But now, with a single word, you've united the entire galaxy against them." The Vanguard, escorted by Therial ships and joined by newly liberated vessels from a dozen species, broke free of Viridian's orbit. Behind them, the Council's headquarters, the gleaming towers that had symbolized their absolute authority, burned against the purple sky. "What now?" Patel asked, turning to Anya. She exchanged glances with Zira and Zelsa. "Now we build something better. Not a Council that controls, but an alliance that respects autonomy." "The word has spread beyond this sector," the communications officer reported. "Reports coming in from as far as the Andromeda Arm, Council outposts abandoning their positions, subjugated worlds declaring independence." On the main screen, they watched as ships of all designs and origins converged around the Vanguard, not in attack formation, but in solidarity. Species that had been enemies under Council rule now found common cause in their newly won freedom. "One word," Marcus said quietly. "That's all it took." "No," Anya corrected him. "It took courage. Yours in discovering the truth. Zira's in fighting when victory seemed impossible. Zelsa's in decoding their language. The word was just the key that unlocked what was already there, the desire for freedom." As the makeshift fleet assembled, Representatives from each vessel established communication. Within hours, the first tentative framework of a new alliance began to take shape, not imposed from above by the Council, but built through consensus, with Earth and the Therial Resistance as its founding members. In the Vanguard's conference room, Anya, Marcus, Zira, and Zelsa gathered around a table that had been hastily expanded to accommodate the diverse physiology of 24 species representatives. "We propose a new compact," Anya began. "One based on mutual respect and self-determination. No neural interfaces, no hidden clauses, no guided consciousness. And no centralized control systems vulnerable to single-point failure," Marcus added, still amazed at how thoroughly the Council's elaborate power structure had collapsed. "The Free Systems Alliance," Zira suggested, "with membership open to all who reject Council domination." As the discussion continued, shaping the foundation of this new coalition, Anya stepped away briefly, moving to a viewport where she could see the gathered ships, a fleet born of rebellion, diverse beyond imagination, united by one simple command that had become their rallying cry. On the nearest vessel, someone had painted the word in massive letters along its hull: "Run." But now, it meant something different. Not a command to flee, but a declaration that the days of Council control were over, that a new era of freedom had begun, that the worlds once bound by neural chains could now chart their own course among the stars. "What are you thinking, Colonel?" Marcus asked, joining her at the viewport. Anya smiled, watching as more ships continued to arrive, each bearing the marks of their own resistance against Council oppression. "I'm thinking that sometimes the simplest words carry the most power," she said, "and that the Council never understood humanity at all. They thought making us run from conflict was control, when really, it's what we're best at," Marcus finished. "Running toward challenge, toward freedom, toward a future we choose for ourselves," Anya agreed, turning back to the conference where the new alliance was taking shape. "Come on, we have work to do." As they rejoined the gathering, the word that had sparked a galactic revolution continued to spread from world to world, system to system, a single syllable that contained within it the end of one era and the beginning of another. "Run!" Not in fear, but in defiance. Not in retreat, but in advance. Not away from danger, but toward hope. The message that had brought down an empire and freed a galaxy with the simplest of commands. "Run!"